much. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the Dan Corder Show. South Africa is a movie. Very nice. They were not paid to do that. They're just good listeners. Right. It is the 70th anniversary of one of the most legendary and impactful anti-apartheid organizations, one that we all learnt about in school, one that we saw pictures of in our history classes, of the marches and the protests, and one that has continued to make enormous impact trying to make and build South Africa, modern South Africa, as a better place. I'm, of course, talking about the one and only Black Sash organization, and it's such a treat tonight because I have two stalwarts of the Black Sash with me to talk about the significance of the Black Sash historically, their personal journeys within it, and what the Black Sash continues to do and its importance in 2025. Please welcome Judith Harden and Laura Pollecutt. First things first, welcome. And did I screw up either of your names?
No, you got them right.
Brilliant.
Fabulous. So thrilled. Judith, let's start with you. How did you get into the Black Sash? Do you remember hearing about it for the first time?
Oh,
What
absolutely.
was the state of the nation at the time? What attracted to it? Were your parents horrified? What
No,
happened?
not at all. My mother was a founder, not a founder. There were 5 women who founded, but she joined the Black Sash in 1955.
Wow.
We lived in Welkom in the Free State, and there were 3 women in Welkom who were members of the Black Sash.
Sure.
And I remember them dashing off whenever there was a cabinet minister arriving somewhere for them to go and picket. And they were hated because they sort of showed up, these men, these ghastly men. And then also in 1955, my mother participated in the mass drive to Cape Town to protest the changing of the Constitution.
Yeah.
So that was how I was introduced to the Black Sash, and I remember my mother and her activities. And then when I was an adult and I had 3 children, as soon as they were old enough, I joined the Black Sash.
Oh, that's amazing.
I remember going to a national convention which happened to be in Johannesburg, and the women who were the head of the national, they were so impressive. They were so intelligent and so knowledgeable and so articulate about the appalling laws that I just thought I want to be a part of this organization.
Amazing.
And that's how I joined.
And you and Laura have been comrades for decades. Laura,
Yes.
you knew Judith. How did you get involved?
Well, it's an odd sort of beginning because I had successfully run a fete, and then one of the Black Sash members said, would I be interested in running the Black Sash morning market?
Which was our fundraising, desperate fundraising.
They're like, you were such a good organizer.
Well,
at the
I don't
fete.
think I was, but anyway, it was quite interesting that I was put onto the agenda, and which was called of the regional council.
Okay.
And I wasn't allowed to go in because I wasn't part of the regional council. I had to wait my turn and then go in and talk about how things were going with the morning market, etc. But I think what impressed me the most, even like Judith said, was the things they were involved in. I mean, I'd been involved in party politics before that, but you were always on the ground. You know, you weren't given very important jobs unless you were Helen Suzman. And once you were in the Black Sash, you were really encouraged to get involved and to understand the policies and the laws and be able to talk about them fluently.
Absolutely.
And which was a great breakthrough.
So yeah, let's talk about that exactly. So firstly, and I'm pretty sure I know the one question everyone here wants me to ask, which is why a Black Sash? Am I right? Yeah, you see. So we'll get real basic for a second, but then talk to me about what the Black Sash mainly spent its time doing. Because I think that one of the most important elements of the Black Sash was what you speak about, which is women being trusted to empower themselves, and then women using that empowerment to make a tremendous difference. And I'd love to hear more about how the Black Sash did that. So Judith, can we start with why a Black Sash?
Yes, exactly. In 1955, as the nationalist government got more confident and started to change more and more laws and bring in more and more apartheid, there was a common voters' roll. Coloureds were on the voters' roll with whites.
Okay.
And it was in the Constitution of South Africa. and the nationalist government wanted to change that constitution. They had to make sure that they packed the Senate so that they could vote vote the colours off the common voters.
Push through the change, yeah.
And so the Black Sash, this I mentioned before, my mother went on a convoy to Cape Town. Black Sash members came from all over South Africa, including the 3 from Welkom in the Free State.
Amazing. It's like the one EFF voter from Oranje. It's so fun. There's one. You can count on one hand.
Well, it wasn't so fun because they used to get poked with, when they picketed, they used to get poked with pins and so on. But and it was scary. But anyway, they made a model of the book of the Constitution, and they draped a black sash of mourning across the book.
Okay.
And they drove in Cape Town and picketed, and it was a massive demonstration.
Wow.
And the press, it was formed as the Women's Defence of the Constitution League, and the press changed it to the Black Sash.
Sometimes the press gets something right.
They do. And
even if they were criticising you.
A lot of the press, the Rand Daily Mail, which nobody here will remember, was very supportive of the Black Sash and so on.
Fascinating. And then Laura, what did the Black Sash become like in terms of main focus, policy, protest? How did the Black Sash level its power to try and affect change?
Well, we certainly did submissions, made sure that things got heard, and protested, in particular, the laws to do with detention. And we would all stand with our sashes and a placard, and people would either go, yeah, 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 or they'd hoot and say, well done, But we all did that kind of protesting, and there have been some amazing protests about all sorts of things. And people were very well informed, and we had really good people at the top at that point, Sheena Duncan and Joyce Harris and Mary Burton, and they were very well informed and could talk on many of those subjects. And we were asked to do talks and interviews, and got lots of coverage, as you know, we say about the press, but if you get that kind of coverage, you're getting your message across.
Totally right.
To some people.
Yeah.
Some people which is deaf to it. So.
Yeah.
I think to follow on from that, what also was important was we had an international audience.
Oh, I see.
So we were getting to the international community the horror of apartheid in South Africa. And it was before detention, it was all the big laws.
Yeah.
The Group Areas Act, the Influx Control Act, which affected people, ordinary people, in an enormous way.
For sure.
And we could, I remember taking, for example, the American consul to the court in Johannesburg, where people were endorsed out.
Wow.
Which meant they shouldn't be in Johannesburg, and a stamp and 2 minutes, and they had to go back. And telling the international community. And the two arms of the Black Sash worked very well together, because we were political activists, but there were the advice officers, and those were staffed by women who didn't work, and I'll come to that, and they listened to the ordinary problems of people affected by the draconian laws.
The researchers, the people who went and got the knowledge, that's super important.
And they informed the political activists, so when we had pickets, we would take what we were hearing from the ordinary people and focus on those things.
So interesting.
So that was a huge thing, I think, of the Black Sash.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now as we hit the 70th anniversary, which is a beautiful thing, I'd like to hear a little bit about what the Black Sash has been doing in the modern South Africa post-1994, because I see their work all the time, but I think more people deserve to know about it. Laura, do you want to speak on that?
Well, I can briefly. They are very much part of the social network in South Africa. And a lot of it, they argue for grants to go up, and they certainly argue when grants are missing, when they haven't been paid. they've taken the government to court when there's a problem with it. I think you do remember the agency who was distributing the grants was really not doing very well, and eventually they were taken to court, and we were always part of that.
And you need the watchers, right? You need the people to monitor and make sure things are not going wrong, because the powerless people who can't make the press report on them are the ones who often suffer that.
Very much
super
so.
interesting.
Yes, and the Black Sash in Cape Town, there are women who monitor Parliament and who attend parliamentary committees and so on, and listen and disseminate.
Right. That's amazing. Well, 70 years on, what a beautiful thing. Laura and Judith, thank you so much for your time. I'm just really happy as a fan, not even as a host, that I got to listen to you both speak on that. Aren't they wonderful? Thank you so much for your time. That is Laura Pollecutt and Judith Harden.